Joining us now is Sheitan Atigarin with stories trending around the world.
Good morning,
Hello,
Dr. Abati. It's a pleasure to see you.
Good
Welcome
morning.
back, Ayo. I
Thank
see
you very
you.
much.
Great.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah. I love your sleeves. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Warrior.
Rufai, good morning. It's a pleasure to see you. And good morning to all our viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. Let's start in Israel. The Israeli military has rescued an Israeli hostage, Qaid Farhan al-Qadi, from the southern Gaza Strip on Tuesday after 10 months in captivity. Al-Qadi, a 52-year-old Israeli Bedouin, was abducted by Palestinian militants during the Hamas attacks on October 7, 2023, while working as a guard at a warehouse in southern Israel. The military described the rescue as a complex operation. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum further hailed the rescue as miraculous. Mr. Al-Qadi is the 8th hostage rescued by Israeli forces since the start of the war in Gaza. He is in stable condition in a hospital where he is undergoing examinations. Let's take a look.
כן. כן. אהלן וסהלן יא ביבי יא אבו יאיר. גם אני שמח, חיכיתי לרגע הזה, תשמע לך. אבו יאיר. כן, יש לי שני ילדים שלי פה.
אני רוצה שתדע שאנחנו מתרגשים, ממש לא מקלל.
אני מודה לכם, אני מודה לכם על העבודה הזאת שהגעתי למצב שאני אראות את המשפחה ולהיות.
אני רוצה שתדע שאנחנו לא שוכחים אף אחד, כמו שאנחנו לא שכחנו אותך,
אני מודה לכם מאוד מאוד, מזמין אותך אבו יאיר.
Well, Israeli special forces acting on intelligence were combing a network of tunnels in southern Gaza where they found this man. And of course, he's the 8th hostage from the October 7 attacks to be returned. And you can see him on that call with Benjamin Netanyahu, very emotional, just so grateful that he was rescued by the Israeli military. Dr. Abati.
Well, two things, quickly. Yes, on October 7, about 245 hostages were taken from Israel. So we're telling the story of people taken from Israel. Up to this operation, about 105 persons were not accounted for. The Israeli Defense Forces said what they did yesterday was a complex daytime operation. And, in that operation, they were able to rescue 4 persons between the ages of 26 to 41. But the big issue about Israel and Gaza Strip remains the need for peace, the need for resolution. Now, not much progress has been made with the ceasefire. After the Hezbollah attack, after the conflict with Iran, as recently as Sunday, the ceasefire meeting that was held in Egypt ended in without any concrete results, because the Israelis are saying they want to control the border stretch between Gaza and Egypt, and the Palestinians are saying that will not be possible. So the ceasefire question remains. The second issue that remains here, apart from the hostages issue, is also, the hypocrisy of the international community. Britain, US, France, they say, well, there should be peace, we support ceasefire. But you have the US mobilizing troops to the Middle East to protect Israel. The third issue is that nobody knows, as of this moment, that whereas the Hezbollah chiefs are saying that their own retaliatory operation, is complete, according to Nasrallah, who is the spokesperson of of Hezbollah. The Iranians are still saying that Israel will hear from them. Israel is saying that there is no end to this conflict, that they are still on an aggressive note. So the implications for global peace, it's a major concern. Even if the spot price of Brent crude has gone up, the spot price of WTI has gone up. But Nigeria, even when oil prices are going up, nobody gains anything from it because it doesn't cascade down. But that's the picture of the story.
All right, then let's move on to our next story, and then I'll have, Ayo and Rufai start off the comments. President Bola Tinubu is set to visit China in early September to secure critical investments to boost Nigeria's economy. During a briefing at the State House in Abuja on Tuesday, the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, said Tinubu's itinerary includes meetings with top executives from 10 major Chinese operations with combined assets exceeding $3 trillion. These companies operate in sectors crucial to Nigeria's growth, including information and communications technology, oil and gas, and infrastructure. He added that a major focus of the trip is securing Chinese support to complete the Ibadan-Abuja segment of the Lagos-Kano high-speed rail, a project Tinubu has prioritized for boosting domestic trade and mobility. Let's take a look.
Mr. President will also meet with his Chinese counterpart in the person of President Xi Jinping, where several MOUs will be signed. The MOUs will involve agreements in deepening cooperation in green economy, in agriculture, in satellite technology development, in media enterprise development and promotion, as well as blue economic development and national planning cooperation. At this FOCAC summit, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his capacity as the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, will deliver remarks on behalf of the region and certainly would proceed to the high-level peace and security plenary, where he will further deliver remarks on peace and security in the region and in Africa.
Seems like a long list of objectives for the president, but I think what's on everyone's mind is maybe during this trip, he can see how to help us get out of this $70 million that we're owing. Ayo.
No, absolutely. I remember when the story came out, I'd said that I believe the president was going to be traveling to China very soon, and that part of this would be, that's not the main reason. I think this plan had been in place for this season, our assets all over, But on a serious note, first of all, I must commend Mr. Ajuri Ngelale's briefing to the media, to the press, to the Nigerian people as to, okay, Chief Ajuri Ngelale, to the chief, high chief, double chief, but titles aside, but just that transparency, opportunity to hold the president to account and to see in detail what he's going to China to do. It's a state visit, and he'll be hopefully meeting President Xi Jinping. But one thing I'd like to, so he's talked about all the things he'd be doing. Of course, until he goes, we'll first of all analyze his entourage, the people who he's going with, how relevant they are to the conversations, what kind of deals they are signing. Recall, following that trade deal with China, which was seen to be flawed as it favored China more than Nigeria, we said, let's have a closer look at the kind of MOUs that we sign. Then beyond that, maybe it's also an opportunity for us to discuss the previous MOUs that have been signed and what has been done about them. So in the past, we've seen the president travel to, I think he went to France, he's been to the Middle East, and he's come out saying that, they're going to invest. But we haven't quite seen yet. Maybe it's all bubbling under, and very soon we begin to see the benefits of these trips. But one other thing I'd like to mention is that as chair of ECOWAS Authorities of Heads of State, he's going to be attending or addressing the Forum on China-African Cooperation, and other African leaders will be there. The big question again is, why do they keep taking African leaders to these countries when they want to talk about a cooperation or an alliance with Africa? When are we going to host these kinds of summits where, the West, whether it's the US, the UK, France, or they come to Africa.
Yes.
So it's still that, it's not balanced in terms of our standing. I can understand that there's a lot for us to gain from this partnership, but we must still, as sovereigns, still stand our ground when it comes to things like this. I look forward to that happening very soon.
In answering your question, it can't be balanced. As long as you have this kind of leaders you have on the African continent, leaders that only think of themselves and what they want to eat and how to divide the people and the Atenujeism, it can never be balanced. Because when you check back in the 70s, what was the economic prospect of China compared to Nigeria? Nigeria was doing quite well. But all of a sudden, because China had leaders that were ready to advance, the likes of Deng Xiaoping, apart from even Chairman Mao, Deng Xiaoping did a lot of work at opening up China to the world, because with all the policies of Chairman Mao, China retrogressed. But since then, you have calculated attempts by leaders to be able to make China a beacon of hope to the world. And guess what? How they did it? They believed and invested in the people, and they brought people out of poverty. You have leaders that are destroying Africa here. So it can never be balanced. And that's why once China has hit these admirable heights, then we will always go and queue after them. Because check across everywhere. They are owing us debt. We're owing them debt for infrastructure. Most African countries owing us debt for infrastructure. China has been able to support state capitalism. So if we want to turn the table in such a way that people too will be coming to Nigeria for trade partnerships, we need to start by encouraging state capitalism. And today I would like to put an advice for as an advice. President Tinubu, have a national amnesty for every thief in Nigeria, economic thief, those that have stolen from governments in any regard. Rather than them putting the money in soak-away tanks and all of that, bring all of those monies out to a particular port. I use it to support selected businesses so that you can build the next Nigeria top unicorn businesses around the world. That's how you foster state capitalism. We're talking about BYD today. It's because China gave over 200 billion in subsidies to all Chinese electric car companies. That's why they are doing well. Apart from the other things we are going there to do, yes, talk about trade, talk about this, talk about that. The question I'd like to ask President Tinubu is this. Hope all of this thing will materialize. The other day we went to Saudi Arabia. We have not seen it materialize. And the next thing, where will Nigerian products be sold to Chinese? When are we going to have Nigerian technology to be sold to Chinese? It's not that we don't have technology here. There are young people developing apps and the likes here. Where will Nigerian manufactured products also be sold to Chinese? Why will Nigerian tech products be sold to China?
All right, then.
I think that's the most important
thing. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this story.
I get the point about balance. China is a big market. It has over, 1 billion people, 1.3 billion people plus. So it's a big market. So Nigeria, should be interested in the balance of trade relations, balance of trade payments and all that. But China, apart from being a big market, Nigeria has a very good relationship with China. They talk about the Angola model, they talk about the Unam model, which one of my friends, Benga Shunubi, likes to recommend every time I talk about China-Nigeria relations. So there are opportunities there. And President Tinubu is going to sign a number of memoranda on issues, agriculture, digital innovation, and all of that. What is important, where the fault line is, I keep repeating it, is that African leaders, they don't do enough of, rigor in terms of the agreements that they reach with the Chinese. And that's why countries like Djibouti, like Kenya, like Zanzibar, Zambia have issues with the Chinese. And that is why we have the issues also, if I may say so, although that's not a comment I want to comment on further. In Ogun State, about contractual agreement with, what's the name of that company? Songfunsan, whatever the name is. So we need to do due diligence. Number two is that the MOUs that we sign, whether it's railway in Ibadan or elsewhere, we need to follow up. That is also important. Number three is the point made by Ayo, that look, African leaders are always enthusiastic. When they invite them to Paris, they are going. French-Africa cooperation talks. When they invite them to China, FOCAC, they say, oh, they are going to FOCAC. Those people too should come here. we shouldn't, our leaders, 54 of them, are going to China. When will China come and hold FOCAC, which is beginning on September 1, here in Africa? So there should be mutual, benefit in terms of all of this, not China being the superior part. But of course, that this will not be something that is of interest to the West. So China is entering Africa, Japan is entering Africa. Yes. Diplomacy can solve the gray areas. Definitely. The more important part is, intelligence and, diligence.
Very salient points made by all three of you. Well, let's move on now to a light-hearted story. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo created a humorous moment on Tuesday in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya, during the unveiling of Raila Odinga as the chairperson candidate of the African Union Commission. At the event, Kenyan President William Ruto invited Obasanjo to the podium to address the stakeholders. While Obasanjo was approaching the podium, Ruto was seen signaling someone towards the podium. Within seconds, a protocol officer was seen carrying a spaceboard and putting it at the feet of the podium pulpit. Now, we want to see how the former president reacted to this. Let's take a look.
I am not as short as you think I am.
Oh my, that was so hilarious. He's known for being a very active person, and he has to remind, I'm still very physically fit. Your thoughts, Dr. Ruben?
Well, President Obasanjo never disappoints. A very humorous moment there. In diplomatic circles, they used to joke about late President Umar Bongo. It was on the short side. So President Bongo used to wear platform shoes. So within the international community, if a president is short, they will try to make arrangement, and give you a platform for you to stand on. But the joke by President Obasanjo was well received. Yeah. Everyone burst into laughter. Yeah. But in terms of height is not the problem of President Obasanjo. Not just physical height, even in terms of the height that he has attained. Head of state, president 2 times, Commonwealth Eminent Persons Group, global eminent personality. I think the more important thing about President Obasanjo is that even in his winter season, he remains relevant. The world continues to find him useful for his wisdom, for his intelligence, for his charisma. And this particular event was about Raila Odinga being unveiled as the next possible AU chairperson. And President Tinubu lending his support, I think, will stand Raila Odinga in very good stead.
What one says Baba Fegba. That means that the Baba does not want to agree. My first thought was for his safety when he bent down and was moving the thing. I'm like, Baba, call somebody to help you. But like you said off air, that former President Olusegun Obasanjo has demonstrated a number of times how physically fit he is, how mentally fit he is with his letters that he writes, and maybe he's fit in other areas as well. But he's never.
Baba is fit upstairs and downstairs.
Look at the way you turned very quickly.
That's what you are saying. Baba is fit upstairs and downstairs. Be careful.
You can just quickly in one sentence, because we have one more story. I'm running out of time.
Okay, so for me, Baba is fit. He shows he plays squash. He does exactly. But you see, I'm a little bit concerned about something. As he normally will do. Raila Odinga now has gone to lobby the incumbent president of Kenya when he can't make presidency to get favors for himself at the expense of people that died in his elections for him. That's the part I don't understand. He did it with Kenyatta, now he's doing it with Ruto. It's always about what is the name for Ruto, for Odinga.
Okay, let's move on to our next story and our very last one here on What's Trending Today. Afrobeat sensation Divine Ikubo, also known as Rema, has arrived in his hometown of Benin, Edo State, ahead of the highly anticipated homecoming concert. Rema was met at the airport with a warm reception from the Edo State government, including a vibrant display of Edo culture. Edo women dressed in stunning cultural attire danced and sang to welcome the star. The reception also featured the presentation of gifts, including traditional cultural beads. The homecoming concert will be held at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City, which has a capacity of 12,000 people. Let's take a look. The Edo elections are coming up soon, so I'm hoping that this homecoming concert will kind of just make things a bit more focused on, you know, the fun side of things in the state. Rema, of course, making the Nigerians proud. And I can imagine his mom right now. I have a video of his mom, him and his mom embracing each other at the event. You could just tell that she was so proud of her son. Very quickly, 30 seconds each. Can we do it?
Rema, superstar, congratulations.
Yes.
You were talking about the picture of the mother.
Yes.
The mama said, Nabebo.
I put that video up. I don't know why it's not on.
Yeah, serious, babe. Well, one of the young talents making Nigeria proud on the global scene. And of course, when you're very successful, everybody will now find their local government. No, he's not Nigeria's son, he's Edo's son at this point. But really beautiful to see.
All right, then. Thank you so much. That's all I have for you on What's Trending Today. See you tomorrow.